What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 226 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. If you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. Okay, well, let's get right in and get started in this episode, number 226, entitled Identity is Not. As we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our new listeners from Portugal, Romania, and Russia. That brings the total listeners to 73 countries. Awesome, guys. Just keep sharing this. I'm so impressed. Let's get into this episode. Too often when we go to rehab or continue on in a sober living house, or we are doing our 90 meetings in 90 days, or just regular weekly meetings at AA or NA, we get this identity shift from I was a full-blown addict, but now my identity is how many days I have clean or sober. And we celebrate each day, each week, each month, each year clean, like our identity is growing or changing, from I've got 1 day clean to, hi, I've got 1 month clean, hi, I've got 1 year clean. And to me, this can get us into a sort of identity crisis. Because, early in recovery, it's normal to be completely consumed with your treatment, your recovery, fellowships, the program and curriculum you're going through, the overall languages and behavior of recovery. We start to speak the lingo and repeat the same answers to the same questions, so to speak. And I'm not saying this is really bad, but I think it's important to find a balance between your recovery identity and your personal identity. So let me get into that a little bit further. What is your identity? Well, I've got 5 P's I'd like to go through, the letter P. First is personal. We have this identity that is personal or sort of unique to us, uniquely you. And it involves things like your family, often tied into your family name, your nationality. We identify ourselves from the country we were born in, or where our citizenship is, or where we're living. And with that can come cultural identity, ethnicity. So a variety of things that are unique to you, even our gender. So that's part of our identity and part of the way people will see us and the way we can identify ourselves. The second P is for passion. And to me, this is coming out of our core values. What are our thoughts and feelings that we have going on? What emotions identify us? What belief system do we have? And underneath that, the core values. When all is said and done, we identify ourselves on certain principles or values that we hold to and we hope people see in us. A third type of identity, or a third aspect of identity, is purpose. And this is sort of our reason for getting out of bed in the morning, or our reason to go to work every day, or what have you, just our reason for being on a day-to-day basis. And so our purpose can be defined around our vocation. It can be defined by sort of how we see ourselves fitting in society, or what our vision is for the future, or what our faith is and how our faith drives the purpose of what we're doing here on earth. The fourth P stands for potential. And a lot of us have an aspect of our identity where we have this untapped identity aspect of potential, untapped potential that we say, this is something is already in me, but I've never had a chance to express it. Or this is in me, but no one sees it but me. Or potential can be something that, because of the vision we have going forward, we know we need to develop something where we're lacking in the potential to fulfill that vision or to walk in that vision. So we have to develop that potential to really have it be part of our identity. The fifth P is possibilities. And I think this is looking at what possibilities do we have going forward? Where do we see ourselves going? Not saying a 1, 2, 5 year plan, but what doors are open to us? What doors are not open to us? And how do we search them out? And how do we live in our potential? And how do we live then in the possibilities that are open doors because we're living in our potential? Okay? So hopefully that gives you a good feel for, this identity involves a whole lot of aspects to look at, more than just I'm clean and sober. And another thing, as I talk with guys in recovery, that they talk about is, I've lost my identity. I had this identity growing up, and it was revolved around sort of how I performed in school and things like that. But then when I got into the drug scene, or I got into porn, or I got into alcohol, whatever it might be, I sort of lost that identity and took on this new identity, this new persona as the addict. And I really felt at odds with myself in the beginning, because I could see my friends slipping away, and it's because they didn't identify with me anymore, and I didn't identify with them. My identity was changing. And so I see how that can be a problem as I'm in recovery, where we still look back and find our identity in the past, but now we're making a new set of friends. We're making a new place in society. And so do we find our identity in the present, like how many days I have clean? Or do we find our identity in the potential and the possibilities, and that is in the future, sort of who are the man or woman you're becoming in your recovery? And I realize that, our experiences from the past shape us. Our experiences early in recovery shape us. But our experiences don't have to define us. They don't have to become our identity. So I think if you're one of those people who find yourselves sort of still stuck in the past with your identity, then I think you become a puppet to your past, and it's time to cut those puppet strings and set yourself free. And it's so important, as we set ourselves free of the strings of the past, to know that, we're going through a process of self-acceptance as our identity changes. And we need to regain a belief in ourselves in order to walk in that future and that new identity. And I'd like to give us a few quotes for encouragement as I close out this podcast today. First one's by Lao Tzu. And it says, knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. So if you're new in recovery, if you're still dipping and dabbing, if you've got years and years of recovery, again, as you're really searching for your true identity, knowing yourself is true wisdom. And I think that's an important goal for us to set. Another quote, Tina Lifford said, when you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible. So this just sort of ties into what the first quote by Lao Tzu said, and it takes it a step further and says, it goes beyond knowing yourself, because that empowers us to do things. But we also have to accept ourselves, because that makes us invincible. That way we can actually move forward and do stuff. Next quote is by Miles Monroe, and he said, "The greatest discovery in life is self-discovery. Until you find yourself, you will always be someone else. Become yourself." So I want to encourage you, keep searching, keep discovering yourself as you're going through different situations and different sort of parts of the journey of recovery, because you become yourself by willingness to just keep searching and understanding yourself. And the last quote I'd like to close with is by Carl Jung, and it says, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." So I want to encourage you again, your identity is inside of you. It's about cutting those strings from the past. It's about getting into, go through your feelings, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your core values to really say, as I look inside, I can awaken to the identity that I want for myself. Okay, thanks everybody for listening to this episode. And if you would like to reach out, you can catch me on my podcast website by just clicking on the message there. You can catch me on my From A to D website, which is www.froma2d.org. Or you can email me at davidfromatod@gmail.com. Tune in Monday for our next episode. And as always, stay safe and stay resilient.